Anne Lamott, whose books on faith and hope and mercy and all kinds of other topics I love. Good.
That's why I picked it.
Yeah. Wrote a powerful op-ed for the Washington Post on January 29th entitled, "The Resistance Will Not Be Rushed." She notes that while there appears to be very little resistance for what is coming out of Washington, D.C. right now, there are hopeful signs. She cites the courage of the Right Reverend Marion Budd preaching her sermon on mercy directly to the president. She cites folks doing things on a local level to love their neighbors and keep faith with values like compassion that they hold dear, even if they're not popular at the moment. Donating to food pantries, supporting victims of the wildfires and other disasters, volunteering in public libraries and schools, or reaching out to those whose humanity is being vilified, even classified as illegal because they are immigrant or trans. She reminds us to remember. She writes, "Remember that the light always returns. Remember the earlier dark nights of the soul for ourselves, our families, and our nation when we fell in holes way too deep to ever get out of. Remember the Greensboro sit-ins and the march from Selma to Montgomery, the 2017 Women's March, the coronavirus vaccine. Remember how in the desert down by the arroyo you'll find dubious patches of pale green, maybe a random desert lily, and impossibly baby leaves." Her point is that we are in a desert time right now, where the landscape looks barren and lifeless, but that things are growing. Life is happening, even in the barrenness, even if we can't see it, even if it's not nearly as green, as abundant as we're used to or we would like. On the one hand, I do agree with her. I find hope and comfort in this image, which is a very Lenten image, by the way, the desert. Trusting that things are happening, that things are growing, that I cannot yet see. At the same time, I was a little uncomfortable with what I felt was the lightness of her piece, because I think this is more than a desert time. This feels like concrete being poured over the landscape to suppress anything from growing, an attempt to erase the whole histories of whole peoples from our national memory. People are suffering and people are dying. People are being silenced and people are living in fear. Life won't just have to struggle to survive in the dryness of the desert. It will have to figure out how to survive underneath and break through concrete when and where it cracks, which can take a long time to happen. I would add, too, that faith is not just about remembering. It's also about imagination. Trusting in the inner sanctuary, as Howard Thurman called it. Over the history of our country, over the history of other countries, over the history of humankind, there have been people who have trusted in and had faith in what is truly sacred, whether they call it God, God's love for all, the larger spirit of love, the moral arc of the universe bending towards justice. And they have imagined what the world could be, what humanity could be, healed and whole, over and against what they were living through at a particular time and what the powers that be were telling them about themselves. If we are to remember the Greensboro sit-ins or the march from Selma to Montgomery, if we are to remember Stonewall with the trans as well as the lesbian and the gay and the queer, If we remember the fall of the Berlin Wall or the dissolution of the Soviet Union or the end of apartheid in South Africa, if we remember these things, we remember also that they happened because people trusted their inner sanctuary and brought those meaning and values like freedom and dignity and love up through the cracks and into their outer life. And that this took not weeks or months to happen, but years or even decades. To paraphrase Adrienne Marie Brown talking about her parents' interracial marriage in the 1970s South, not only did they believe the impossible was possible, but that it was the best way forward. They imagined the impossible to be possible, and they lived it. Faith is a person's core. Whatever our faith is, we are. Thurman is honest, though, that this is hard to put into practice, to integrate our inner sanctuary with our outer life and to find that balance. Our ideals are just that, they are ideals. They're hard to live into, and they are hard to trust all the time, especially when events in the world are not going our way. So how do we navigate the desert time, or even harder, the paved over by concrete time? What can we grow that can push through? How do we maintain our faith? How do we maintain trust? Another writer I've been turning to a lot is Carrie Newcomer. She writes, "Have you ever seen a bucket so absolutely full to the brim that a very small bit of water causes the bucket to overflow? Some folks might say that it was that last drop that overflowed the contents, but the truth is, it took every single drop to bring that water to the rim. It took every single drop for it to reach the point when all that good spirit spilled over. Each drop mattered. Each drop was filled with a spirit of love and hope that lifted the water level. You, my friend, and the daily drop you put into that bucket are deeply important because you are the water that shifts the world. You are the river, the creek, or the stream that fills the lake." She also offered 4 things to do to help with that drop of water. And I'm just going to take us through them. First, take a breath. Ground yourself in the daily practices and in the community that sustains you for the long haul. This is not a luxury. This is essential. That's what we're doing right now. Take time to reflect on your life, your gifts, and your resources. The closer we get to what we love and who we are most deeply and truly, the more potent our contributions become. So I invite you to take a minute. Reflect on your life. What are your gifts? What are your resources? Choose a couple of issues to which you feel particularly called. There is simply too much happening for any one person to address it all. It's okay to narrow your focus so you don't get overwhelmed. Finally, she says, take comfort and have faith. You don't have to do it all. You only have to do what you can personally do today, nothing more. Remember, there are others working on issues you cannot personally dive into at this moment. We are many, and we are great with love. So what I'd like to do is invite you to do that. To come up if you wish, you don't have to. But add a stone to here. Maybe name a gift, a resource, something you have done today or this past week that adds a drop in the water. Are you up for it? Good. Okay, how do we do this? We come around, we line up over here, and we go back this way, right? We know how to do this. Okay, I invite you when you're ready, come on up, speak in the mic. Or if you just want to put a stone in and be silent about it, that's fine too.
I did something very special to take care of myself this morning and the last week, and it's a personal thing, and I did it for myself, and I did it.
Donation to World Central Kitchen.
I serve on the Welcoming Congregation Committee, and we are preparing for Transgender Day of Visibility, which I believe is the 30th at 2 o'clock. And I made a flyer and a Facebook post.
Francis, you forgot the rock.
I was so excited.
Yeah. I convinced the senior center to start a lesbian social group.
I'm just going to do a rock. You're just going to, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Do anything this week? Say, wish my sister happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
To who?
Happy birthday to Abby.
To Abby, your sister?
That's nice. You're going to put a stone in for her? Okay.
I've advocated for my patients this week.
My resource is the love of my family.
I've refused to become depressed. Joy is resistance. I also sent Elon Musk 5 new quilt blocks that I did. I'm going to keep sending him pictures of my quilt until it's finished. Some things take a very long time.
I've started a practice where at the beginning of each of my classes, I remind myself that at the end of the day, love is going to be the biggest lesson.
I kept trying, and I finally reached my cousin who's been very ill, and we got to speak, and I was very, very happy.
I've been all over the place. I've donated to Democratic candidates. I've donated to the food bank recently, and after going through that series on the recycling series, I can't even remember what the name of it was, I've stopped using single-use plastics.
I am running in public election for a seat on Chelmsford's Housing Authority. Elections, April 1. If you are a registered voter in the town of Chelmsford, just look for my name. Don't worry about which office it is. It's the only one that has my name. Maura Snow. I ask for your vote.
I supported small business by going to my friend's gift shop, and I found the perfect item for the auction. So, prepare to be surprised.
My gift and my resource is singing with you and for you.
All the choir.
And I've been restarting my meditation practice, and Heidi's been a support there, and I'm going on my first silent retreat in 10 years.
I offered a week of compassion for myself.
I am taking advantage of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts benefit for all state employees of having the free Calm app. I think it's one of the best benefits the state has ever offered. And I think it's significant that they're doing it at this time. And I'm also, in the midst of difficult conversations or afterwards, I remind or I inform my colleagues that it's available, and I talk about how important it is to use it every day.
I feel like I'm repeating Brenda, but after this past Tuesday's Sacred Circle session, which is a small group, I am not one that can sit still and meditate, but I have made a conscious effort. So for 5 days in a row, even if it's only for 4 minutes in the morning, I sit and I'm quiet because my brain can bounce all over the place, and it is already showing benefits.
To all, try to remain as resilient as possible and survive.
I'm crocheting a rainbow scarf for the church auction.
Last week, I gave a lot of encouragement and support to one of my dearest friends who's struggling with ALS to write and publish her memoir. I'm helping her find a publisher.
I increased my monthly donation to the American Civil Liberties Union.
I went to work on my day off on Friday to do more vasectomies because whenever Trump is president, people are worried about contraceptive access, and we were getting a backlog.
Good morning. There is a critical need for blood donations. Thursday at the Masonic Temple in Lowell. Off of Arcan Drive is the access for the 2 red doors. You can enter, but please call in advance. I'll be there. I babysit the building in case a pipe bursts or they run out of toilet paper. If you take medication, yes, you may still be able to donate. Go on the website and check the medications. If you had a tattoo within the last 3 months, you're out. But beyond 3 months, you're fine.
I'm on the Town Democratic Committee, and there's a debate for the townwide offices on Wednesday, March 17th. Is it March 3rd? 19th. 19th. Thank you, Mara. Yes. And I realized, talking to the chair, that the Housing Authority had not been included. And because I knew Mara was running, I made sure that they got included.
Thank you. I too sent my 5 accomplishments to the Office of Personnel Management, and I plan to do it again tonight. And on top of that, this past week I took the UU Climate Revival Facilitator training. We're going to be having a UU Climate Revival here at First Parish on April 26th. Lunch will be served. I hope you will all join us. It should be very invigorating. Thank you.
I told all of my students that they were special and that they were hardworking and that they are loved.
I recently had an opportunity to meet an amazing Polish entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, who's doing some really interesting work, and now somehow I got involved in a project of helping to establish a humanitarian center in Massachusetts, so we'll see what happens.
I was going to say. We're almost there. I need a couple more to put us over. I know you have done things, all of you, even those of you who are shy. So I hope that shows we're not alone. Things are happening.